Order and all that type of stuff?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Okay, you're right.
Like to call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Councilmember Cassidy.
Here.
Councilmember Sampson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Olson.
Here.
And Mayor Marshall.
Here.
And for the record, Councilmember Hernandez is absent.
Okay, so today we're going to try to accomplish two things. We're going to, number one, go through the fee schedule, and Gina is going to lead that discussion. You've all received a copy of that. Gina has met with all the department heads. Fee schedule reflects modest increase as we have every year for CPI. This is an opportunity to talk about the fees that we charge. There will be a public hearing, two of them, right, Denise? On the fee schedule itself, how many public hearings?
Yes, we will.
Okay, so I just want to make you aware that the public is going to be given two opportunities to be able to weigh in on whatever we decide to finalize. So this truly is a study session to go through it. The other thing that we're going to do today is try to, once we finish the fee schedule, get back to the goals that we started. See if we can finalize at least a few of them, making them SMART goals. The reason being, we want the budget, in theory, to reflect what our goals are. So, you know, if we have a goal, let's say, of public safety, but yet, you know, if we weren't spending any money on public safety, that would be a little bit odd, right? So we just want to make sure that the things that are important to us are things that we have allocated for within our budget, and that we're being strategic about the money that we put in there so that we can achieve the goal. So with that, Gina, do you want to walk us through the handout that you provided?
Sure.
And I know that Councilmember Cassidy in particular has a number of questions, and I suspect the balance of the council will have questions as well.
And what I'll do is introduce the miscellaneous fees as a concept for local government. This is basically a process to recover the cost of providing the services. So within it is kind of an operational background to it. If it's a penalty, it may have a bit of that in it as well in terms of covering the overhead associated with providing the service. It isn't related to how much money we can make, so to speak. It's really, and we're not here for profit, we're here to just cover our costs. So with the miscellaneous fees, included in here you'll see recreation fees, vehicle fees, pretty much everything. It's the kitchen sink. And what we do every year, and last year I should note that we had a major revision of the fees in planning and recreation, kind of a cleanup, reorganize, and you're seeing the end result of that this year to where it isn't really much of a maintenance. We're introducing new fees, modified fees, and maybe admin fees as well, fees that we've been charging that should have been clearer in the miscellaneous fee schedule. And what I'll do is the introductory memo has about 6 items on it, and I'll go through those, and then we can go through page by page the fee schedule itself. What we did this year is we increased the fees by 1.59% CPI. Last year we did have a cleanup CPI since the fees hadn't been looked at for several years. So this is a modest increase this year. And we are placing on the fee schedule something that we have had in the past, which is rental of City Hall. And this one includes City Council chambers and conference room fee, $150 per day, cleaning and key deposit of $200, and government and civic groups are free with approval. The second is it's a return check, repeat NSF. We have an NSF charge, and what we're adding to that is a repeated NSF. And I've discussed this with finance. We really don't have that many repeats, but it's nice to have in there anyway if that does occur. And most cities do have a repeat NSF. Our current costs associated with providing through the bank, we get charged $36 for this, for one NSF. And over the years, that had increased significantly with CPI increase. So I modified that a bit and then brought this in to the repeat to $46. So the initial one is $41, the repeat is $46.
That was one of my questions, is that the new or adjusted return check fee is $25. But if the bank's charging us $35?
That's the one I modified. So on the new one, that's the one I shifted. I got information from US Bank that we're charged directly $36 for a return check. The $25 is actually a state civil code amount, which we don't fall under. We fall under government code, which is to recover the cost of providing service. So, and the bank charged us directly $36. That was a change since the original handout.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. On your front page, it says that the repeat NSF check is the only one that changed.
You know,
So
that was a
that's-
new
okay.
fee. That was
Got
the
it.
new one.
Got it.
Yes, yes.
Got it.
And we did charge more previously for an NSF. It was getting to be about $50 for NSF. So I had put in the $25 one in your version
Yeah.
and now modified it to cover the cost of providing the service.
Got it.
I'm just curious if we do a lot of, or any, small claims on any fees that aren't, I don't know how many outstanding fees we have out there, but do we do small claims on repeat
People that-
offenders to pick up?
That routinely don't have money to pay when they deliver a check to us, or?
Yeah, or just on any fees at all throughout this whole thing, like if they're not paying their harbor fees, or have we followed up with small claims?
Go ahead, Denise.
What's happened in the past, the ones I can think of off the top of my head, a letter from the city attorney has done it, and we've done a payment plan then and recouped the cost.
So we don't seem to have a lot of outstanding because we followed that.
Not to my knowledge, Annie. There are some that are issues, but
Yeah,
we work our best to do a payment schedule with everybody.
okay, thank you.
And I'll move on to the credit card convenience fee. This is for mooring service only at this time. And what it's basically, he's going to look at the banks, see what they charge us for that convenience, and receive back the cost of providing that through the credit card service. He's going to be working with the mooring company that handles that to see how we can do it easily and seamlessly. So at this point, we're putting cost on there, not a specific rate, until we figure out how that can work.
That's generally about 3%.
Correct.
Okay.
And the water dock coin operation fee for fresh water, and this will also be provided at cost for the city, and Brian's looking at the water rates and what he is charged monthly for that to identify the cost.
So that's essentially at the washdown dock having to use coin-operated, and water shuts off at kind of like a coin-operated shower. It would shut off after 2 minutes
Similar
or
to Two
something.
Harbors, it came to my attention earlier this year that we actually did not have any type of monitor on that. So not only for water conservation, but of course for recovering costs, we're putting one in. The cost to install a meter, I think, is around $500 or $600. It's quarter operated. What Brian is also checking with, I believe the tariffs limit what we can charge for the water. You're not allowed to resell the water if you're not the water provider. So he's fairly limited as far as what he can charge.
Can I make one change, or maybe we need to ask Brian for clarification? Because I believe that you still cannot wash down with fresh
That's
water.
correct.
You can only use it to fill up your boat
That's
for your...
absolutely correct. And Brian did confirm that yesterday. Yep.
And I had asked that they send something out to the boating community to tell them to fill their tanks before they get here in an effort to cooperate, because
So we
because
have a
they
call.
a lot of them come unfilled because they don't, it slows their boat down if they're full of water. So I don't know how many of those kind of boats, but
Right.
I don't know.
We have a, sorry, Mayor, we
No.
have a call with Edison and the Chamber trying to finalize the education campaign. So I'm going to add that as an additional directive. Material specifically for the recreational boaters. We were working on material for Catalina Express, but we need to make sure we have specific items for the recreational boating community.
Right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
And moving on to number 5, this was added to the city's building and plan check, and I believe it's in the Muni Code being added, green building codes for plan check fees. And these are the several tiers involved. It's new residential for $103, remodel residential for $51, new remodel commercial less than 10,000 square feet, $103, and new remodel commercial more than 10,000 square feet, $203. And this is all work done by S-Skill through the city. So this is a part of the plan check process.
And this is new because we don't have necessarily green building codes already.
Well, yeah, as part of our process, we adopt the Uniform Building Code into the municipal code, and so we did that, I believe, in
March.
right? So this is reflecting that.
Oh, okay, okay. And this particular plan check goes out? Or do we do this internally?
No, it goes out to Eskill, who we have a contract with.
And then the final planning item is demolition inspection, asbestos and lead. We do currently have a demolition inspection fee. This is an added feature because of the sensitivity of asbestos and lead to staff. So that's a higher rate at $260. So we're specifying specific types of demolition.
If it's recent construction, would the city apply? Like say I built a house 5 years ago, now I'm going to remodel it. Because asbestos was outlawed in the 70s, and lead was outlawed in the whatevers.
So is it two separate fees on your?
Yeah, there's two separate fees. There's one just demolition
Right,
inspection.
so this wouldn't be applicable if there wasn't
Right,
the
correct.
suspected stuff.
And that's it on the new or modified or revised fees. And the way the schedule is set up, and I've put draft everywhere because when we get to the final point, it'll be proposed. You've got the fee description by department and the unit, the current rate, which means what was charged in the current fiscal year, 13-14, and the new adjusted rate with CPI attached to it. And just let you know, it does round, so even though some fees may not look like they're changing, in the cell they're changing, so in the Excel spreadsheet. So next year when we do have another rate increase, it will modify. It's much easier at this point to go by whole dollars, so we do our best to keep it that way. And the first section is administration, and this is where you'll see the bolded new rental of City Hall included in here. And this covers, again, various areas. Administration covers the bicycle permits, newspaper racks, and vehicle permits.
We were charging for City Hall previously, but it was only in our application, was never on our fee schedule. So we're cleaning up.
So when I see the oversized vehicle applications and all of that, where would something like impact fees or development fees go if we wanted to establish those?
For planning?
Trucks that come to town and are on our roads for months at a time and that kind of thing?
The question, Mayor, is where would that be included, or where would we?
Or how can we do that in this process?
We don't have a suggestion for that yet. We can develop one and bring that back.
Okay.
But this is something that Councilmember Sampson has also talked about as well. I think we might want to take that in the bigger picture of just development fees in general,
Okay.
fees that relate to recovering costs for infrastructure. But I do also wonder, just thinking here about things coming up on the Tuesday meeting, if what the timing of that might be, considering the state of our natural resources.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That was vague.
We've not posted
That
it.
was good.
We have not posted an agenda yet, so I don't want to, just in case we change anything before we post.
Can I just want to make sure I understand what you were asking, Anna. You're talking about some of the other industrial vehicles that are over here, say the contractors working for Edison. Are we charging a fee for those vehicles being over?
All we charge is we charge a temporary vehicle permit, and it's a nominal fee. It's like, I want to say it's like $27 per
Right.
vehicle, something like that.
Right.
It certainly doesn't,
Cover.
it is not tied into any type of road impact, if you will. It's not a road use fee.
Right.
Unlike the Conservancy, it's not like that. So I think that we should look at that but probably just maybe the bigger picture about development fees in general. So not just coming back with the vehicles that are associated with development, but also the and we've talked about this a lot, the infrastructure charges that if you want to do this type of development, here's the charge that we have for the corresponding impact to infrastructure. So a palette, if you will, of fees. The one thing I'm wondering is the timing of that, considering council intent on some other areas, that's all.
Okay, so if, just to make sure I'm clear, if I bring over Acme Drywall Company and they want to bring a vehicle over, they pay the city $27 a day
Something like that. It's around $27. Yes.
A day?
or
On page one.
$284 a month for a temporary.
Say that again.
It's on
Ken?
page 1, the daily fees.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding that.
So
And-
if
and-
you
and-
have a vehicle that goes into the interior as well, they're paying $27 to come into town and
That's right.
27 to go out?
That's right. If they have to go out in the
Okay.
interior.
Which is still minor.
And even on our own
Minor.
projects. So for example, we brought over asphalt, as everybody here knows the other day. As part of the contract for our contractor, we're supposed to recover those fees for temporary permits. We actually didn't, so we're going back and gathering those from them retroactively. Everybody has to pay that.
Did you say it's 84 a month? Or what?
No,
284.
284.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and I think the reason, okay. The reason for that is just so that we know who's coming and going. I
That's
mean,
right. And potentially, let's say that we had, 5 huge projects going on at once, and for whatever reason, everybody that on one particular day wanted to bring over a whole bunch of trucks, we could say, wait a minute, we already have this other, one project can bring them in one day, one can bring them in the next day, so the town wouldn't be overwhelmed with, 10 giant big rigs driving around.
Yeah, and that can be, I don't know if we even want to get into this, but that can be a liability and a hazard as well. And some of those trucks might even need to have a lead vehicle to follow them in if they're that oversized, especially if they're going to be going out in the hills. There's so many construction projects. It would only be reasonable to think that you would have a vehicle out ahead of an oversized vehicle to watch for power lines. I mean, like a couple months ago, we had an incident on Marilla Street where a vehicle came in off the barge, was going up Marilla Street, caused a traffic jam, knocked down a power line. We had to call Edison, had to call the police, had to call the fire department, had to call the cable company, had to call everybody to come up there, and the guy was gone. We didn't even know who he was. We tried to find out who it was. We don't know if we ever got a fee from him, but I think to avoid those kinds of incidences, yeah, it would be a good idea about if we were diligent about that. But it's hard. How do we enforce something like that? I mean, let's say
Well, there's a sticker that's supposed to go in the window so that it's easy to see that vehicle is registered. That's what's supposed to happen. And in the
okay,
case
so
of-
it's supposed to go on the window and not on the dashboard,
Right,
correct?
it's supposed to be visible so that you can see that vehicle has a permit.
Okay.
And then in the case of, just to pull the thread on, if there's a utility line hit, just speaking from my own experience working for the utilities, they're very good about following up with somebody who hit a line. They find the vehicle and they recover those costs.
Yeah, because I know the fire department was called that one day, it was a couple months ago, and it was a very chaotic situation because it was so busy. There was a school, there was tourist cars, school buses, ambulance came, or the fire trucks came up. There was a concrete truck on the hill at the time. I know we're getting off on a different subject here than finance, but what do we do if somebody ignores the fact they know that they're supposed to have one of these stickers, but they ignore it? Is there a way to recover
Code
the fee? Again, okay, code enforcement. Is there a fine for that? Do we? Do you know? Okay.
So yeah, code enforcement goes out, and that's what we did with our own contractor, and they actually went out to the freight lines, found all the trucks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Are we, any more questions on page 1? Okay. So what I'm putting on a parking lot is the impact fee related to vehicles, or an issue bin for next time to revisit.
Just, I put it under broader topic of just development fees.
In page 2, section 2, cemetery. This is a listing of all the fees that we charge for the cemetery. If you have any questions on that, we have the expert here. Everything you wanted to know or didn't want to know about everything that's provided. This also was updated last year as well.
So, when you have to determine somebody's going to rest in the cemetery here, do you have to go through and figure out all the different services you're providing and come up with one fee for that?
So if you were to call me, Cindy, and you already had a certificate of ownership, depending, Cindy, on how emotional you are at the time of your call to me, that some people ask for the fees right then, or otherwise we wait and we bill it after a few weeks after the services happen. If the plot's already been paid for, you're paying for open and close of the plot, you're paying for a burial vault, and then when you're ready, you come back and you order a marker. Then you pay for that and the installation.
So depending on what happens at that moment, I had no idea that the cemetery was this confusing and all of the different fees associated with it. So this
We
was a
almost
big
get calls
eye-opener.
daily, and we turn a lot of
my
people away
goodness.
because the cemetery committee back in, I don't know, it was in the late 90s maybe, that they finally had to establish some guidelines, and our guidelines are if you were born and raised here, if you went to school here, and if you currently live here. We had other parts attached to that, so say if you had family in the cemetery, but we've done away with that because some of those people had never even come to the island, yet they wanted to be here. And people that say, I come for 2 weeks every summer for 50 years, I'm sorry, you still don't qualify. Because we're expanded to our very last area, and after that, there is no more.
We just can't die.
It's going to come to the point where if you're not cremated, you're not even going to be able to be here.
So then I'm assuming that the city has property taxes on the land that's up there, or is cemetery subject to property taxes?
I haven't seen that on,
I don't think that we are. I would categorically exempt.
Okay. And so maintenance and landscaping and all of that, does that just get built into
that-
part of these fees?
that maintenance here, so the very first thing for the single plot, the maintenance fee is a one-time for
Okay.
life maintenance fee.
Or death.
Oh, okay, one time.
If you buy
And
a
I'm
plot,
sorry, I
so
know I'm
next
being
year it's
very
going to cost you $180 and that's it. And then forever we pick the weeds and
Maintain your area. Okay. So that was my next question. Is this an annual fee or is this a
No, it's
one-time
a
fee
one-time
that
thing.
we pay? And
Crazy, huh?
And we have plots, we have the niches where the cremains are, those are the drawers in the wall, and then we have memorial wall plaques if you've been scattered at sea or somewhere else, or
oh, right.
then there's just a little plaque that goes on a wall.
So then, forgive me. So there's a fee for open and closing a grave. But that is basically a required fee because you wouldn't necessarily let somebody's family come and
Dig their
Correct.
own.
dig their own.
Right.
Right. I mean, I just,
Because
You
everything
know-
is so marked off
yeah.
that if you even move it over 6 inches where it's not supposed to be, when the next person gets buried, it would.
I mean, I would assume that these are all, but you know, I
You
mean,
should come look at our
unfortunately, I
map
have-
sometime, and it's very tight.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have family that has plots other places, and there's an option. That's why I'm like, you know, forgive me for the unprofessional giggling, but I just could not imagine going and doing that myself. So,
Nor could we.
And it's the man hours and the equipment that has to go in and what they have to do to cover the other plots as they're going over with the heavy equipment. And it's time consuming.
got it.
And then there's double deep too, right?
Yes, and mainly, Joe, those are in the old part of the cemetery. We've sold, I think, 6 up in the newer section, and they hit bedrock on the very first double deep they did. So after that, we no longer could sell them.
Have to be side by
But we
side.
do recommend family plots now, where you can do double deeps of cremains. So you can fit 8 to
Oh, I
10
see.
cremains in one plot.
Bedrock. Stuff to get through.
Never
That's right.
mind.
Oh, boy.
Local government is
Any
very
other questions,
sexy, isn't
Cindy?
it?
I just had no idea.
Wait till we get to
Now,
sewer.
I don't know that most people realize how extensive these fees are, so.
Don't you always wonder, those private cemeteries, how they can maintain those beautiful grounds like Forest
Yes.
Lawn and those places for perpetuity is amazing. And here we are in the same, on a smaller scale, but here it doesn't.
And we are told all the time how cheap our fees are, seriously, because
Yeah,
we're
I
not in
bet.
it to make money.
So, so this is not a moneymaker. This is something that we pay to keep this up. Okay.
And just an kind of like an outsider view, just seeing what Denise and Gabby do, and when Pastor was a part of this, it's all heart. And it's a lot of work. It takes, I'd say, probably half a day or more in some instances. Is a big part of what they do. And they have to close everything, be present for the person when they call. It's
Very solemn.
great staff here on this.
Well, just next time somebody complains to me about the graveyard, I'll just, the cemetery, I'll just show them how modest our fees are. And
Send them our way too, Joe. I mean, if somebody's complaining about it's overgrown in their area or something, we try to, particularly if we know there's a service, everything gets really cleaned up.
absolutely. It's a pretty sensitive thing too, so I understand.
And on I'll move to page 3, and we've got the city clerk section and the finance section. Do you have any questions on there? As you can see, we have the return check, and I identified it as an admin adjustment for the return check. That actually was $49. And so it's modified, but then I included the extra, if they do it one more time, fee of $46. And as Annie mentioned, in the future, once we have our class comp plan done, we'll have a cost allocation study, which identifies an hourly rate for each staff person with a burdened rate above it. What does it cost for the lights, the electricity to keep that person computer? So it's a burden rate, and then that is applied to a fee analysis study that will look at all these fees and see how much overhead is attributed to that. And so it's
So that's a lot of where the cost plus comes from,
Correct.
or in manpower sets throughout. Oh, okay,
Yes.
great.
And that's going to be revised just like the class comp. It's
Okay.
time for that.
Passports.
And when is that study starting?
We don't have a date, is the short answer.
I would see right after budget.
Yeah. First things first.
You haven't gone out to,
We went into bid, we have some excellent,
Oh, okay.
yes,
You're talking
the class comp,
yeah, the class
Right.
comp, right.
right, so you're getting those back.
yes.
Okay.
And the allocation study and the fee analysis would be during the year. I'm hopefully, a goal would be to have it done by the next time we have a fee schedule to you.
Okay.
And that's a
then-
process, you'll be hearing a lot about that.
And then the film location permits, it doesn't seem like there's been a lot going on. I don't know, maybe we have had, Denise, I don't know if you can speak to that, but the film location permit, that's $212 if they're here a week or if they're here a day, correct?
That's per day.
Per day.
Oh, per day, that
And
is per
those
day.
film applications start with the chamber, and they forward them to us. We do the okay, and we make sure if fire department's in the loop, sheriffs, if it's a large thing, and if all the Ts have been crossed.
Okay.
And what's the passport fee?
I'm just asking Gina if that's $27 is wrong, because
It-
we go with what the government, is it regular passports, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, and I'll double check that to see if
No.
the fee was applied to that or
Those
not.
are like $80.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, but I think isn't that what
And
we
that's-
keep?
I'm sorry?
Isn't the
Oh,
27
you're
what we
talking-
keep?
The processing fee.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That comes to City Hall then. I'm sorry, Gina. I thought
Okay.
you meant the-
City Hall processes passports?
Yes. Since the post office has started taking pictures, they get a lot of it now. We haven't had it very many, but we were busy all the time. Dudley, particularly at the front counter, and then Gabby, Christy, and myself, and then I pulled out last spring. So I don't do them
Okay,
anymore.
good.
So who do people talk to for the passports? Just
You can come to the front counter, and there's 3 people that could assist you with questions, or and also you can go to the post office, and they do them right there at the window.
excellent.
Why do we have fees for psychics and
I was waiting for this one.
well, tattoo artists when we don't allow tattoos in Avalon?
I have that.
Well, we do allow psychics, I guess, but we don't.
Mhm.
Don't we have something that?
I don't know why the tattoo things are.
Yeah, that should probably be removed.
Tattoo fee should be removed for sure.
But we welcome psychics.
And
They should be in
is
this meeting.
that a state mandate that you need to do a background check before allowing a psychic to do business? Or why do we have that fee, a background check fee?
So a bump on the road fee.
Yeah, I think it's kind of
Yeah.
inherent with the business, right?
It probably says it in our code, Cindy. I'd have to check.
Makes
it
sense
out.
to
Okay.
me.
They should see it coming.
There you go. There you go.
Now, the tattoo fee that we have here, why is it here? And,
That's an
It's
error.
going away.
We're going to remove that.
okay.
That's
Is there, there's an ordinance against tattoo
right. That's
parlors?
an oversight. We should remove
Yeah,
that.
and pawn shop.
Okay. And what did you
Oh,
say?
and pawn
Pawn
shops.
shops. No, I don't know. What came on with tattoos when you did the tattoo parlor? Seems like you got rid of 2 things in one. Oh, pedicabs, that was the other.
Oh. Did you just say pawn shops?
Yeah.
Jeez.
No, so there was a whole meeting about tattoo parlors, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and it was the collectives. It was the marijuana dispensaries. That was the other one that
Oh,
went
okay.
on with tattoos, I think.
Okay.
Right, Ollie?
I think they were 2 separate.
Okay. Well, they both were, yeah.
Okay, but we're not, okay, we're not discussing those
All right,
today,
anyway.
correct?
Little levity.
And on page 4, we have the section 5, which is for fire, the fire department related fees. And some of these are associated, as you can see, with plan check and weed abatement and hazardous cleanup.
So I'm curious, with the fire department, let's say you have a call out for an emergency. Is the person who's calling for the emergency charged for the services that the fire department provides?
Your house is on fire, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the role of the local government.
So.
Don't stub your toe and take an ambulance ride, though.
Right.
Well, that's where I'm going next with this. Well, first and foremost, what's the difference between ALS and BLS ambulance service?
Advanced life support, basic life support.
Oh, okay, there we go. And then, so we don't charge for paramedics and fire on site for an emergency, but we charge for the taxi ride they get.
It's a largely correct generalization, I believe.
Where does he come up with this stuff? No, it's okay.
I think you can say
Morning time,
that.
Oli, it's morning time. And I guess I'm curious why. Why would we charge to transport somebody to the hospital?
The short answer would be it's insurance related and there's recovery involved with it. And so we because we can, and it is a service. Over town, you're probably aware that there are private companies that do that. Care ambulance and you know, the lot.
And I have to say, too, that we are working with the state on getting reimbursement for the Medicare transports. We have quite a few of those.
Mm-hmm.
So the state doesn't really provide much, or the federal government provide much back. So we're working with the state, who's working with the federal government to get us more monies back on that.
What are the 3 little asterisks by the oxygen service?
It might just be related to the LA County note below. I can change that to 1.
To one asterisk.
Yes.
Have an asterisk, you have to have a reference place for it.
And the fire department does weed abatement?
Public Works probably does the abatement.
Yeah.
I believe, Cindy, what happens, so that they send out letters, and I could be
Right.
wrong, but they send out letters to residents
right.
or businesses. You need to abate your weeds by such and such a date. If you do not, we will come and do it for you, and you will be
Got it.
charged.
Cost plus,
We'll follow
okay.
up on that just to make sure
So
that
they
that's
monitor
accurate.
the fire hazard.
Right.
And then who do we get to do weed abatement? Public Works? Or, yes,
Or we could hire someone.
Well,
or hire somebody?
but we're trying to get the private property owner to take care of it themselves, so that.
And usually,
Right.
that happens. Once the
Yeah.
letter's issued, they do it.
Right.
Mike Clark could speak on that. I believe I had a council member or two talk about the false alarms and if we were charging for those. So I just wanted to note that there is a charge in here.
It's
Second and third.
an annual July 1 to June 30. So if you had 3 false alarms in that 1-year period,
Then you start over.
then you start over the next year.
This might be one, I mean, we've talked a lot about this one. We might
Look into it.
consider looking at
Yes.
this one because it's certainly not cost recovery by any stretch. And we have a lot of false alarms.
Wow.
So, maybe this is something that we start with the business community and just say, hey, we need to really talk about this. I mean, you guys know, this is like a daily thing. There's 3 engines down there on Crescent and it's a false alarm.
I think I'd be interested to know, maybe just to have the fire department do a quick analysis of how many, what they are,
Sure, no, but they
I
have
think
that.
before we really went into an in-depth study on it, I'd just be curious.
Yeah,
Does it, if we have 15 a year, does it make sense to?
I guess my point being that it certainly costs a lot more than $35.
Right.
go
I mean, that
To
doesn't
deploy.
that doesn't cover anything,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we will definitely be able to provide that.
Okay, but if it's a false alarm, they roll up, they go in, which is what they should be doing in a day, is going to check that stuff out. So are we talking about the gas and the wear and tear on the,
Well, it's time that they could be spent doing something else, I might add, and I think I'm going at more the, all right, you have a false alarm, it happens, the second and the third.
right,
Well,
yeah, faulty equipment.
a great example, last year there was a particular construction project that literally had the fire alarm go off every single day for quite a long period of time. And then it started maybe once a week was going off. And what would happen is their fire department would deploy, but because they don't know when the call comes in, whether it's a false alarm or
Right.
not, they have to completely secure the building and remove everybody from the building and then
Right.
determine whether it's a false alarm or whether there's really not something.
Right,
So,
yeah.
and that was happening on a daily and then weekly basis. So it was certainly an impact to everybody, including the fire department, that would thus have to
Right, yeah.
be at the building every day.
So we'll follow up and get some data for you to look at with that.
So basically, some type of a computer glitch or something within their within their fire system?
Water or dust
Water or
triggers it.
gas?
Oh, okay.
That's what we get for having all these integrated alarm systems.
Okay.
And shall I move to page 5?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, harbor fees. And as you can see, the various fees, harbor mooring rates, and down below you'll see the credit card convenience fee, the water dock coin operation for fresh water, the new fees. And there's just a note there for the wharfage. We do have wharfage in here. And that is not being increased. Of course, that would be a larger proposal if it were.
I'm sorry, I was just reading something. You just were talking about wharfage.
It is also on the bottom of the page, the wharfage fees that are not being increased by the CPI.
Oh, gotcha. So the haul-out fees, are those essentially emergency haul-out fees that if there's a vessel in distress, or is that what that fee is?
I can find out from
I
Brian
think that's what that
specifically.
is.
And also storage fees, where do we store?
Yeah,
Yard?
and put the city warehouse.
So is that potentially, let's say you haven't moved your dinghy, it goes on the string line for a period of time, then it's hauled out after a month of
We
nobody
mostly had a
moving
bunch
it,
of
and
kayaks that I'm aware that we grabbed and impounded and stored. I don't know if
so
it's much
that's
about
essentially
dinghies.
more of an impound fee,
Yeah,
an impound storage fee. Okay.
yeah.
That seems really inexpensive to me, to
Well, for a
impound.
kayak, it isn't.
Okay, but if you've got a dinghy or, I mean, and we don't have unlimited space, but I mean, what's an impound yard over town? You know, or how long do we keep them in impound before they become ours?
Well, the way it works here is that they don't ever leave, and so we end up cutting up the kayaks into pieces and getting rid of them. This really, I mean, I think this is mostly kayaks. I'm not aware of a whole bunch of dinghies or other vessels that we impound or store. It's
They've
those.
hauled out my husband's before,
Did they?
until he learned, maybe, or until he, I mean, so,
How long ago?
it's been a while. It's
Yeah.
been a while. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when I was up looking at these at the yard, it was kayaks.
Okay.
But
okay.
I can follow up with Brian.
But it's
Yeah.
not any different than bicycles or, for this matter, not having a storage place for vehicles.
Right.
I think there's an overabundant supply of bicycles somewhere too.
They get cut up after a while, and we get rid of them.
That's too bad.
Well, and we can talk about that too, because other places do auctions, and we could certainly do that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay.
I was curious about when the last time the harbor mooring fees were increased.
Last year.
Is it? It is last year?
Yes.
There's one thing, we have this, I understand the credit card convenience fee, but following the private sector, isn't that a cost of doing business? Maybe next year, can't we reflect that in the cost of the moorings and then get rid of the convenience fee so that, I mean, it's, I understand why we do it, but we don't do it at the gas dock, and it's a government agency selling gas.
Yeah.
If you go.
So, I mean, it's a third of our mooring fees are paid by credit cards, so we raise everything $1 to cover the credit card fees
For next year?
for next year. Yeah,
I don't
Okay.
even think it needs to be that much. I mean, but I like that idea better.
Okay.
There's nothing worse than getting a tax on a tax on a tax.
Okay.
So the suggestion for the future is to have it built into the fee.
Yes.
Okay. And we can actually look at that right now. That was a question that Brian did have for you.
If you want to just, add a dollar on immediately and make that the proposal, be done with it.
Why? I think you should look at it more like a 3%, not a dollar.
Not even
Okay.
3%, because everybody doesn't pay by credit card.
Yeah, we only have a third of our
Right.
customers that do.
I mean, if before we have the public hearing, there could be a quickie back of the envelope analysis of what it would take to recover that fee, and that way it's a lot cleaner, and or at least to me it's a lot cleaner, because I go to Chet's, I use a credit card, I don't pay different if I pay cash.
That's going to change, Oli. I'm just kidding. I'm just
Now that you
kidding.
brought that up,
Now that
Following
you brought it
government.
up.
Well, and then does it matter on the size of the boats that do that? Because if you've got,
It'll all work out.
it'll all work out. Okay.
There's a law of compensating errors.
I thought that was the term. Okay, thanks. Okay.
I'll get that to Brian.
And then I'm curious, just so I'm clear, the fishing tournament per boat, the fees, under wharfage fees, 4% of gross receipts. That would be like the Catalina Classic or the Zane Grey coming in. They would pay 4% of their,
If they meet the criteria for a charitable tournament.
is it gonna be okay, so it's 4% of gross receipts.
And based on the gross receipts, if that includes a meal
Charitable.
and whatever, they can pull the meals out of that first?
Say that
Good
again?
question. Good question.
Okay, so I spend $5,000 to go into a tournament, but the meals are also included in that package. So I can take the price of the meals and the awards and the T-shirts out of that $5,000 entry fee and only pay the gross on the balance,
Hmm.
based on the definition of gross receipt.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You actually read that ordinance.
Well, that's what didn't make sense to me, is that it's, it's a charitable contribution, but generally when you're paying a fee to join a tournament, your fee covers so many different banquets, it covers your T-shirts, it covers all of your,
Exactly.
all of the fees the things that you get. So you're actually getting generally retail items, food costs.
Exactly.
Under the new definition, those would be backed out of your $5,000, and whatever
Right.
left over at the end, you pay for.
So we have
Right.
that as an ordinance, so we're fine, we're covered,
Yeah,
basically.
just to be aware
Okay.
that when they
Good-
come
Yeah,
in.
good thing to bring up.
Of course, do we have any tournaments so far?
Tin cup? Oh, they haven't
No,
done that
not
in a couple
anymore.
years either.
We don't have any tournaments anymore.
See that? A halibut tournament.
Hell of a tournament. There we go.
Okay. Page 6, law enforcement fees, which involves code enforcement. And we've got animal control, any vehicle impound, and fines. Back in the 80s, fines were decriminalized in a sense. You might remember if you got a parking ticket, you could go to jail at some point. So those are decriminalized. So those are now included in the fee schedule instead of a
Okay.
bail schedule.
What is the outdoor restaurant review?
They go have lunch or dinner and see how the food is. Well, and you write up for the Islander or the Bay News.
Singing and dancing.
Can these fees go up if our ticket, we have, $50 as a ticket's already done?
Yes.
So what exactly does animal roundup mean? Oh my goodness, you would think
Hey,
that it was
Denise.
11 o'clock at night.
What's that? I'm sorry.
So, okay, we have two questions. One is on outdoor restaurant review,
Yes.
which I don't know that answer.
I have no
I was
idea. I'm
waiting
sorry.
for.
Do you know that one,
okay.
Gina?
Could
No.
maybe
Okay.
could we find
And then the animal roundup, I imagine, is collecting an animal that is loose, right? Is that what that
That's
means?
correct. If somebody calls and they say there's a loose dog, and I know last time I saw him was on Pebbly Beach Road, it takes some time.
Right.
got it?
So we'll follow up on the restaurant review.
Then we have a little Brandon.
Maybe this is planning.
Oh my goodness.
That may,
Well, yeah.
Oh,
Ooh, a bicycle storage fee. There's that storage fee.
$2.
Interesting that a kayak is more expensive than a bicycle for storage.
It's
but-
bigger.
But do you generally?
It's a week
How
or?
do you know who owns a bicycle? You really can't go after that fee anyway, can you?
I think, in my opinion, if somebody comes to us and we've taken the bicycle from down here after we've tagged it, and usually they leave them there hoping somebody really will come and get them. And if it gets brought up there, if they come to code or call City Hall, they can go up and we're happy to just get them their bike back.
Give that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because bikes it gets overwhelming, doesn't it? We get so many bikes that we have a storage problem with those, right? I heard that in the past.
There's been a lot of bikes, Joe, and it's amazing. People don't come and ask about where my bike is.
I don't
It's too
know
bad we don't
why.
have somebody who can fix those bikes up and give them to kids.
Well, so that's a note I wrote down. Other communities do these auctions,
Yeah.
and that happens, and we can talk about that.
The sheriffs did it a long time ago. They
Yeah.
used to
Yeah.
do that. but-
Yeah.
Between the kayaks and the bikes and
Yeah, we could do something like that.
And what's obedience to traffic device?
Okay.
That's another one. That's a good question.
Kind of a catchphrase, so
It is catchy. I don't know what that
if it
is.
doesn't fall under something that's specifically on our ticket,
Okay.
it's a generic
And
one.
we're gonna
and
give
then-
you a ticket for
and-
some
and
reason.
And then they will write specifically what it is.
Okay.
You failed the attitude test.
Oh, we're having fun now.
Doing
Page
fees could be so
7.
entertaining.
Gene is right on track.
Yeah, keep going. Thank you, Jean. Okay.
page 7 starts with the planning fees. And it is considerable. and I can't necessarily say I'm a planning expert, but I know Cindy is. So it's,
I actually have the least amount of questions in the planning section,
great.
if you can
Right,
believe
and
that.
full disclosure, our planning director is at a regional planning meeting right now, too, so we might have to park some of these if you have some detailed questions about planning fees.
and the adjustment, the green fees are on page 8, and that's added in under the plan check section.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I do have one question. General plan amendment at the bottom of page 7. So would this be, let's say we have at some point adopted our general plan, and I don't know, maybe the Conservancy wants to come back and make a change to that general plan. Is that what this amendment fee is about? This general plan amendment fee?
I bet you it's going to modify, the fee for modifying the LCP. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's-
this, I can't see how this would be a private party coming.
Oh, if you want it,
Well, I mean, because you're obviously not going to charge yourself a general
Right.
plan deposit fee.
Right.
Correct.
So,
if a private party wants to come in and change zoning,
right.
Oh, a zoning change.
it would
There
have to
you
be
go.
an LCP,
There you go.
LCP amendment.
There you go.
And that's up there. That's not the general plan amendment, that's the LCP amendment.
That's up above it.
That's above it.
But we have to also amend the general plan if we amend the LCP.
To be consistent.
Oh, okay.
They're two kind of like skip
Okay,
together.
so that's correct. So my thought would generally be correct.
Well, I will confirm that for you.
If you don't mind.
Don't mind.
Just one a few questions.
Sure.
Okay.
In page 8, it goes through the development agreements, which might be an area that we'll revisit with some of the vehicle
And
discussion.
infrastructure and other
Mm-hmm.
related fees.
Those are going to there.
Right.
Okay.
And then quite a bit of this work is actually not done in-house, it's sent out. So that's where the 20% processing
Correct.
fee. Okay, good.
20%
It's pretty standard.
is the staff's coordination of those contracts and working with them on
Right.
the timeline and follow-up.
Okay.
Then we have CEQA, EIR, and building permits and green building code.
So then,
And page 9, just stop me as we roll through.
How do you explain or fraction above? Oh, wait. So anywhere, if it's let's say it's valued at 100,000 to 250. Oh, and then if it's okay, never mind. I got it. Sorry. Sorry.
so then on the valuation table, Jeannie, you just added the change for this year.
Correct.
Okay.
What is tenant improvement? Office retail, I mean, that's if a tenant wants to make make an improvement on a structure, or whether it be office or home.
Correct.
Okay.
And the valuation table is the basis for most of these fees as well. It's referenced. And you have grading fees on that page, and following up on page 10, we work on landscape permit fees, plan check fees, occupancy inspection, demolition, and you'll see the new fee there for demolition, as well as the older fee, demolition inspection without asbestos.
Don't go forward yet.
Okay. Zip line?
I'm looking for I thought for sure I saw it, but I'm looking for the fee that, somebody's applying for a CUP, transient rental, and we have been, I think, for a couple years now, going to inspect the properties and to clarify occupancy and how many bedrooms a place really is.
On page 10, we have occupancy inspection, change
And
of
I'm wondering if
use.
that's the same thing.
And then certificate of occupancy on page 11, which may be it.
And it says other, but I don't know.
I think my first question would be, are we still doing that inspection when somebody's requesting a CUP for transient rental? Would be my first question. And my second question is there a fee for that? And if so, where is that in here?
I think it's on 7. Under this CUPs.
Page 7, you said?
Yeah. Home occupancy review.
How many units do you have?
What is your thing you're applying for?
Right.
But
CUP, it's right there, yep.
on page 7?
Oh,
On page 7.
yeah, there
Page
it
7,
is.
conditional use
Under
permit.
CUPs.
Oh, there we go, there we go.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right there.
Okay, okay, great, thank you. I
Yeah.
thought I saw that. And then on page 10, what exactly is a trailer coach inspection?
We could ask about amusement parks
It's not like restaurant reviews.
We'll have to follow up on that one, I don't know.
Okay.
An amusement park.
Yeah, what's our Disneyland inspection?
Amusement park, wow, well, you gotta cover all your bases, don't you?
That might be the zip line.
Ooh, that's
State
each
does-
additional
state does that.
structure too.
What's that?
Let me
28
follow up.
Additional in structure on the
First you
amusement
got the
park.
first Ferris
You never know
wheel.
when
and
there's
then-
going to be one coming into town.
Wouldn't that be just grand to put a Ferris wheel on the pier?
And I should
Sorry,
say,
Brian.
some of these fees come in from the county. So we've,
Oh, okay.
they maybe a one-time fee we've had in the past that for, yes, but we'll take a look at trailer
Okay.
coach.
And barriers for pools.
Yeah.
I was just curious what that was.
It's a thing to keep you from falling in the pool.
Like the wrought iron they put around the pool or.
We'll follow up on all these, I don't know.
Child safety, most likely.
Maybe, we'll confirm.
Okay. I think some of these have probably just year after year after year after year, but I'm
You're right.
curious as to how many barriers for pools we've,
Probably not a whole lot.
applications we've had.
Or they just do it.
Well, we've got like 4 pools going in up at Hamilton Cove, I think, coming up with the development that they have on the books. So
Yeah.
maybe that's something that
That's
might
true.
apply there as well.
That's true.
Okay.
Parking occupant load calculations, that's something, that's when they build their parking lot around their structure, we gotta make sure. You know what that is? Under coastal engineering reports.
Occupant load calculation. Just, I'm assuming, Gina, jump in if you have any clue on this one. Is that just doing the calc for the number of required spaces? Is that what that is?
You know, that's another Brian one I'll have to check on.
Yeah, well, we've
the
got a bunch here we
specifics.
have to follow up.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a long email with all the explanation on all these.
I was just about to ask that question. Without adding to the workload I know everybody has, but is it possible that we could get this information before the next budget session so that
So
if we
we're-
have questions or need to talk about it, we have?
Poor Gina is gonna be getting back to you with every single item that we question, she'll send an email out
Yes.
to all council and we'll just.
That'd be great.
But a lot of these,
Okay.
with the department heads, they're gonna know this right away.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's not,
Okay.
you know,
exactly.
it's just because we don't deal with them on a daily basis at the work.
Right.
Okay, are we on page 11 yet?
Could be Gina, 11?
Okay, on page 11, certificate of occupancy. And plumbing, this says plumbing permits as well. And I can say a lot of this was revised in terms of the existing code out there as well as moving away from the basis of what the county had. We realized we had a lot in here that didn't apply to us, but this part definitely was cleaned up last year. And Brian did review all of this in relationship to the fees that are charged in his personal checklist that he has.
My only question on this page was, I couldn't figure out what an R3 occupancy was.
It's zoning occupancy that we don't have.
That's probably why I've never heard of it.
It's either
Do
low
you know what it
density-
is?
It's, no.
Okay.
It's probably low density.
Well, again, we'll find out.
I'm just curious what that is.
No, it's all good questions.
Yeah.
Unless we add an R3 to the general plan, I don't remember that either.
So just on the back to the public notices, because the processing, the 45-day notice, that's where you send something out to everybody, it's the mailer, correct? And so as the price of stamps goes up, and as many as we mail out of there, is $7 enough to handle the new stamps? Unless we buy forever stamps?
There's Brian. Yeah, thank you, Brian. You can
Brian,
save
are
me
you
some work.
listening to us?
Oh, no, I just walked by longer.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Great.
We had a question on R3 occupancy. What is that?
1 and 2 family dwellings.
1 and 2 family dwellings?
When you get to a third unit, then it becomes an R2 or an R1 depending on its use, whether it's transient, an apartment, or a hotel.
And that's based on the county code?
California building.
California building code.
Sorry, for my clear glasses, I can't see you guys.
It's probably better.
And we had a question on barrier for pools as well. And what is that for? Is
That's
that
the swimming pool enclosure. It is the building, usually the residence, and then it's the fence that goes around the pool. By California state law, there has to be a 4-foot-high fence around every swimming pool, but oddly enough, they put the latch at 5 feet.
So the latch is an extension above the, okay.
Yeah, you'll kind of go places and you see that little thing there where the gate up here and then the latch. And most cities amend the code and they usually make it 5 feet or 6 feet. But we've never addressed that in our municipal code.
And that's just, doesn't necessarily, it has to be within so many feet of the pool, I presume?
No, just enclosing the area that the pool's in.
Right.
Can we ask them about parking occupant load calculation?
That'd probably be an Amanda. That's not in the building
Oh,
code. That's
okay.
probably in the Muni code.
Okay.
How about amusement park inspections?
You know, I haven't done one here yet. I do them in Redondo every once in a while, but yeah. That's more normally the state brings in a ride. The ride has to have a tag on it from the California State Amusement Board. And then we mainly go and make sure that they've protected all of the power cables and everything that goes to feed it. And that they have the sticker.
Okay.
What about a trailer coach inspection?
That is a sticker also that comes from the Housing Community Development 1. And basically what we do is make sure they have the sticker and then we inspect the utility hookups, the sewer, the water, and the power.
Ah,
For,
trailer parks.
Pretty much like Triana. Triana is basically I hate to say trailer park, but there were modular buildings and all we did there was just the foundations. And then the unit themselves are inspected by state inspectors while they're manufactured. And then the state inspector puts that label on the modular unit.
that would be like Adventures too.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
and I guess
Nearly
it's
as
out,
exciting.
Now you don't have to respond to those.
I think it was outdoor restaurant review.
Oh, yeah.
That was a different section of the fee
That's under
schedule.
law enforcement.
Yeah, that might be ABC or health department.
Okay.
About catering trucks, is it, would that,
County health.
Yeah,
County health?
catering truck, we just would want to make sure when we gave them their business license that they had a health certificate. And
Okay.
just to figure out how they're disposing of, the waste.
okay, because I understand we might be having some catering trucks coming into town
Yeah, they're,
in the near future.
Descanso Beach?
Yep,
So they should come over ready to go because county health has to give them that requirement, just making sure the grease and so forth, right?
right, yeah, that they have their health department certificate. And I believe at least one of them will be having a permanent electrical receptacle up to it.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think at least one. I've seen a conceptual drawing of that.
cool.
And I think you had a question about the transient rental, the review. for occupancy as well?
I have so many questions, Gina.
Well, one.
With the CUP,
Yeah.
and that was there.
Oh, the
Hey,
CUPs,
Brian, do you want to
yeah.
just sit, you want to sit up here, just to make it, just stay for a minute? Since we
Official?
Obviously,
Should I sit up there?
absolutely.
You're not going
Come on
anywhere,
up.
Brian.
Come on up.
My,
I'll be the city attorney.
There you go.
I would not want that job. I would not want that job. Okay, so I want to say within the last,
He's good.
I want to say within the last couple of years,
Just so he knows what page are you on.
I have no idea what page I'm on. He probably can answer this without.
Okay.
I keep going back and forth here. I want to say a couple of years ago, somehow in planning and before the planning commission would hear a CUP, there was an inspection done on the property, or we started to do inspections on the properties to verify how many rooms were really there and occupancy load and all that. And I think you were actually doing those.
Yeah, I still do that.
You still do it, okay? So that is all still happens before that comes before the planning commission, and then, okay, so then on, I don't know what page that was. Maybe
Page 7 had the CUPs on it.
Page 7. Oh, there we go. Halfway or
And
about
then
almost
line
halfway
one,
down the
so
page, the conditional use
It's like
permit.
6 feet.
Is that perhaps what that home occupancy review fee is?
You know, I don't know if we've ever applied that. Mainly, they pay a fee for the application, and then I go out and count the number of kitchens to determine the number of units, and then look for any visible hazards. But I don't think we've ever applied that fee. You'd have to check with Amanda. I believe my inspection costs are associated with the planning department application fee. But you have to check with Amanda on that.
And I wonder if that's all part of the application fee. Maybe we're just giving one big number. Can we check on that?
Then I think we're on page 12, I believe. We moved to page 12.
I can see that. Okay. That's just the far away thing.
And page 12 has electrical permits, mechanical permits.
What is the new residential building surcharge? Is that part of the
That-
WSD fees and?
Well, that is an old way of doing a building permit. What they would do at the county, this is all based on LA County's fee schedule, was they would charge 8 cents a square foot for a new residence when they were doing the building permits. And what we've been mainly doing is just using the valuation table, because we issue what's called a combination permit here. We don't issue a separate electrical, plumbing, mechanical building. We do a combination. So using the square footage, we figure out the valuation. Then the valuation through a table that we also have in here gives us the fee. And that gives, the combination fee covers everything. So this would be like if a electrician were to come in and pull the permit independently of the homeowner or independently of the general contractor, then they would use that fee there, the 8 cents a foot.
And do we charge, there was a fee for new construction or residential there, and I don't know if it comes on the property tax, but I believe the city was supposed to charge a fee for the school district?
The school district is paid by the owner or the developer directly to the school district. So what we ask for is they bring us their receipt.
The receipt of payment, okay.
And we get a receipt of
Okay.
payment, and by state law, we can't issue the permit until that receipt is, we
Okay.
observe it.
But we don't process that
No.
money at all, okay.
No, they have to take the plans and their application to Long Beach School District. Long Beach School District reviews their plan, reviews their square footage, assesses the fee, and then they pay it over there. All we get is just the receipt, a certificate.
Okay. Gosh, if you guys don't have any questions, I'll keep asking.
No, go ahead.
Are we on page 13? Still page 12?
No, I'm
12.
still on 12.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to get there. We're
No,
almost
you're good,
there.
you're good.
We're more than halfway. Okay, the investigation fee for working without a permit. So I'm assuming that comes to the city's attention that somebody's working, we check, we find out they don't have a permit. So we thus send first maybe code enforcement, or, because Brian, you're not here
Depends on
all the
what-
time.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting history on that. It used to be an actual fine that was written into the code where we would double fee an applicant because they were working without a permit or started the job without a permit. And then there was a court decision that said that municipalities couldn't fine, only a court could. So then it was changed to investigation fee. So we don't really use that fee there. We basically just charge double the actual permit fee and call it an investigation fee. Because if it were somebody like putting in a window without a permit and they got caught, charging them $359 on top of their permit fee may be sort of excessive. So what we do is if the permit fee for a window, I think it's somewhere around $50 or so, we just charge them an additional $50 and call it an investigation fee.
Does that need to be put in here if that's actually what we're doing?
We could, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's what we're doing. Why not?
I mean, shouldn't it be an investigation fee up to?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Just, well, I guess maybe if I'm thinking of the return check where it's, if this is somebody who does this often, if a repeat offender kind of thing, so they just don't get off with the $50. And
So-
it might be an easy thing to,
But
to
if
try to get
I,
away with.
if I hear this correctly, if I put a window in my house and I don't get a permit, and Annie calls the city on me, and the city comes out and says, you put in this window without having a permit, and boom, here's your $50 fee. We've determined you're going to get a $50 fee. What says he or we can determine what that fee is going to be without having it in the fee schedule? Second to that, what happens if you determine that you're only going to charge me a $50 fee and our fee schedule says it's $359? Does that then give you the ability to come back and say, hey, you only paid $50 of this $359 fee?
So it sounds like perhaps the easy remedy is just to have a little asterisk and just say, get rid of this investigation fee since we're not using it, right? And just say simply, fee for not operating or not acquiring a permit prior to starting work is 2 times the permit amount.
Well, that's what's
No.
actually in the California Building Code is what they have there is that the fee will be doubled.
Okay.
Okay. That's
Okay.
what I
So
need to
That's,
hear.
that's what I go off of.
So we can just, okay.
Okay.
So you want to make that change? If you know for a fact that we're not ever using that?
You'd be getting the calls.
Yeah, okay. You would know.
Yep.
So if you can give me that CBC code number and I can apply that to this,
Okay.
and then any other fees that may occur, we'll have a conversation on. If we're overcharging in the fee schedule for that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
What did you say the basis was for this fee that's listed on here? That was something that was in an old ordinance, is that correct?
Well, this is the LA County fee schedule.
Okay.
I think it's probably circa 92 or so.
It's a pretty hardcore fee right there, so.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But the building code just clearly states that if work is commenced without a permit, that the fees will be doubled. And it used to be fined, and then in the building code, they changed it to investigation fee. Back about, 90 or so. Code section.
And then I think I know what a fire damper is, but can you give me an official definition of it?
If I have a building that's too close to a property line, or the building's simply too big, that I have to split it up with firewalls,
There we
or I
go.
gotta have a firewall on the outside, or sometimes I have to penetrate that firewall. And if it's a 1 hour firewall, I gotta have a 45-minute fire damper. So if it's a duct, there'll be a box and it'll have shutters in it. And if there's a fire, there's a fusible link inside. The fusible link melts at something like 270, I think, I can't remember. And then the damper itself, the shutters close. And that keeps the fire from moving through the firewall.
Okay. Yeah, I was right.
And
That wasn't detailed enough. Can you go back through that?
Well, they're certified by Warnock Hersey, and they have a label on them, and mainly installed in the horizontal position.
Very,
Do we have any evaporative coolers?
City Hall does.
Yeah, you have an evaporative cooler in this application. You always have an evaporative cooler where you have a grease hood,
Oh, okay.
because you have to bring up the humidity in the kitchen, for the cooking to happen.
Okay. And
Also,
water runs through those.
Yeah, and water runs down a medium on the outside, and air pulls through, evaporation
Right.
pools of water.
I mean, I was raised with them, but.
Me too.
Okay.
amazing.
Okay.
Page 13? Or we are in 12?
No, we can go to
13. Okay. And this is basically the saltwater connection disconnection fees and sewer connection fees. This is not related to what's on your property tax bill at all. This is just connect or disconnect.
Are we good with Brian?
Unless
I don't think so.
there's a fire permits
No?
issued
Got some
by
more stuff for
planning
Brian?
on,
Okay,
on
all
page
right.
14, if you
Okay.
want to see. One more. And a couple excavation permits, I think, coming up.
Gotcha.
I have no questions on 13.
Okay.
I know. Can you believe it?
Page 14, fire permits issued by planning. This is plan check, hood, sprinklers, alarm, and fire.
I have no questions on 14.
And
Well, okay, because it's by, but there's also other fees for those folks back here, right? For things like hoods and sprinklers and alarms? Because you said this is fire permits, so then there's the planning permits as well.
Correct.
So there's two, they get double billed, not double billed, but two different, okay, never mind.
yes.
Okay.
That's a way that works, right, Brian? You've got the fire permits issued by planning that are related to plan check.
Yeah, the fees here are mainly for our plan review consultant to do the plan check on them. Because normally these types of applications are part of the combination fee. Like the last couple restaurants we've done, they pulled a combination permit, and the hood inspection, the sprinkler inspection, the alarm inspection was all included with that combination fee. But since we have to send it out to be plan reviewed, we have to pay the consultant to do the plan review.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
And who are those people that know more about plan review?
The company's called Esgil.
Oh, that's the same one you're talking about?
ESGIL, they're an engineering firm I used to work for. They have like 14 plan reviewers. They're all specialists, structural, fire, mechanical, energy,
Okay,
and very good company.
okay.
But we did go out to bid on that, so we had,
I mean,
Multiple to
in the
choose
old
from.
days of Pete Wilson, let's say, you still had to send all that kind of stuff out when we had our own building official, and we still did that even way back. Yeah. Okay.
And then page 15, we have Public Works.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good.
And Public Works permits issued by planning. Excavation, obstruction, curb cut, application.
So, I guess Public Works. Oh, I'm sorry, those are fees. Those aren't permits. Just the fees for spilled load, nuisance abatement, street sweeping.
Right.
Those aren't permits. Those are just fees.
Right. Our
Okay.
cost recovery to do those services.
Okay.
And do we have one, Gina, in there for the Vector truck? Is that listed? Do we have the Vector truck listed?
We have it as other equipment in here. We're waiting
Okay,
to get.
it's just under equipment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
It's
for example, with
cost.
Hamilton Cove, we just put together what the,
Right.
yeah.
I've made, and when we get to that page, I can describe what we've done to that
Okay,
the
cool.
listing. Sure.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Brian.
Yeah, that was great.
Great timing, Brian.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You saved me some work.
But again,
That
work on more
handled a
detail
lot.
next time.
Sure.
Okay,
I'll draw a picture.
okay, perfect.
And then recreation is next. Details all the sports related fees.
And these were the ones that were revised extensively last year, right, Gina?
Yes.
I'm just curious why some of those fees increased and some didn't.
So
Which
it's
ones?
the rounding embedded in the Excel cell is an increase. We kept it easy on staff in terms of fees, really no pennies kind of thing. So embedded in the cell is an increase so that next year when there's a CPI increase, it will tip over.
I'm sorry,
So-
you said that earlier.
Mhm.
Okay.
Still applicable.
It's still applicable.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's 1.59 is just a small little amount.
And then the leisure dash instructional classes, those are things, classes per se up at Tremont Hall.
Yes.
Where do we come, what is the basis behind charging 30%? I mean, that's higher than what we would charge a regular rental fee for someone running a business on city property.
My understanding, we're hiring somebody to actually do the class. So it's covering the cost of that individual.
No, because
No?
some
We can ask Jen that
Yeah.
really quick and get back to you.
classes that are just taught,
They're not doing a rental fee, which was going to be more than the 30% of.
okay,
Yeah.
that completely
believe that
explains
that's-
it. Yep.
Okay.
Like
The rental fee is higher than paying
Right.
30% of the
Correct.
class fee. Okay.
Maria Elena would be doing an exercise class for seniors,
Yes.
and she'd have 2 people in there.
Right,
You know.
right, understandable.
Open swim is related to the swimming pool?
When we had,
That
yeah,
was-
yes,
Okay.
Good question.
I would think so.
A bingo permit?
Yes. What is that?
This is for
It's a
maybe,
game they play where they pull little balls out of a thing.
Annie,
The-
that's from,
We're good.
that's in our code, and that's from when
Why don't
we
you- why
were
don't you come
doing the charitable ones
When we
at the.
did the big
church hall.
bingo.
Mhm.
Hang on. She made the mistake of going to the restroom, so just in case you have any.
I watched online.
Thank you,
Everyone's watching
Jen.
online.
What a nerd.
everyone's watching online?
Yeah.
Everyone.
We're online?
We're multitaskers.
That's the humor of the morning.
My question was just answered, so I'm going to repeat it back to show that I understood it, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Okay, so my question was, why are we charging 30% of the total fees for an instructional class, for example, at Tremont? And the answer is that the cost of renting the facility per class would be far greater than charging 30% of the fee.
Correct. And we currently give the reoccurring classes that option. So if they'd want to call themselves a reoccurring recreation or leisure class, then they can pay 30%. And that is for things like Ellen Markowitz, her exercise class gets 3 people. She does it once a week if she gets people. So every 3 months she turns in a spreadsheet and gives the city 30%. That covers, we pay the property tax, we pay the utilities, we have, renovations that have to happen, cleaning fees. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And can I just go back to the bingo permit? So this is, I believe the city puts on, no, Choices put on beach bingo. Is that the same type of permit?
No, it's not.
Okay.
This is actually for
Big bingo.
bingo.
Back in the 80s, wasn't it, Annie?
Like
that-
casino
Yeah.
bingo?
Yeah, 200,
Yeah.
where you win $250. It's, $250 per game. It's highly regulated. We did it with 7 of the civic groups a number of years ago, and didn't make any money because you can't sell alcohol in this town. You can't get them to play. You can't get them to play bingo.
Consistent crowd.
At
Yeah.
the church hall.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
But we did recently just have somebody come and approach us about wanting to do this again. But the municipal code states very clearly what the requirements are for the town, and they didn't have any of the answers yet. It was just
Right.
more conceptual, so
Yeah.
that's what that would be for, was just applying to be able to do that.
And then in fairness to all concerned,
Mhm.
what about a fee for the new horseshoe pit? Have you guys thought about that?
We thought about the players adding that into the city insurance and having the players have to pay an annual fee to participate that covers that insurance cost. If you would like, we could build in extra money for the,
Well, I'm just saying if we're
Well-
charging for use of city facilities, and maybe it's not something that we would charge for. I just want to make sure if we're charging for,
Well, much like the skate park, it's going to be just an open, unmanned, unregulated space,
Well, it's not on our property,
and it's not our property.
so I think we have a
oh, there
hard
we go.
time.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Nope, that answers that.
Well, but when there was grass on there and we would do football on there, we were charging. So, but I mean, I think some things need to be free, like the basketball court downtown, and
Right.
are we investing a lot of money, the city, or is it the Horseshoe people that are going to be putting in the pits? What's the cost of that?
The Horseshoe people are in partnership with our people to actually install the actual pits. So Bill Jones has the stakes. We are putting the stakes in cement. Straight Up Builders is putting this cement in the ground and building the backboard. The city already had fencing gates at our warehouse, so we're utilizing stuff we already had to make access to the restrooms, and that's it.
Can we talk about that for just a second? The proposed pits, number one, I guess, how many pits, and where is the proposed on that site?
2 pits, and they're in the very back corner closest to the fire station next to the county lifeguard building.
Why wouldn't we have put them closer to the skate park? So if my kid's skating and I'm horseshoeing and I don't know.
Because we didn't feel confident that people would use the restroom facilities instead of a dark corner while playing out
So,
there.
is there adequate light, or are we installing lights?
There's lights on the lifeguard building.
That should be
I didn't mean the
adequate.
dark corner wasn't the focus. The restroom part was the focus. We didn't feel
Okay.
confident that they would walk across the dirt field of dreams in order to use the restrooms.
So you thought they would use other parts of the
Yeah.
grounds?
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. So the county will make sure those are unlocked, because sometimes only one of them is unlocked. So I've
Don't we
tried.
have the keys for that? The restrooms
I don't know if we have them anymore, Jen, since we
Okay.
opened the 2 restrooms
across the
here.
street.
I want to say
Yeah.
that those, we do not, no longer use the county restrooms.
I was just worried to kind of break that property up, if there was another use, you know, if you had kind of stuff over that way, and then if we needed still to have the ability to somehow do a mini soccer field or whatever at some point, if we have it chopped up. I don't know, just a thought. So, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you get another one? Good try.
Sorry.
It's okay.
This makes less work for Gina later.
Thank you.
So, on the miscellaneous fee or service schedule still for recreation, your recreational detail page, the facilities damage and cleaning deposit, just seemed a little bit vague to me. What, it says the appropriate deposit for each facility will be determined by the recreation department director.
Right.
So
The
what is?
reason why that's vague is because if we have a birthday party at Tremont Hall, we don't want to charge the same deposit as we would for the Donovan concert at Joe Machado Field.
And is there some sort of criteria for return of deposit, or is all of that spelled out in an application for the use of a facility for whatever reason, like who's gonna clean up the trash, who's gonna
Right. So
sweep
that,
the grounds or whatnot? All
Yep.
of that is pretty well spelled out?
Mhm.
Okay.
and we have a return deposit form that we issue finance so they know when to return the deposit or not to return the deposit if we've had an issue with the.
Okay. So there's generally an opportunity for somebody to make things right if they hadn't. Like if I have an event on at the Wrigley stage and the next day somebody says, you know, this is atrocious, they left all their trash, the birds took it, I would have an opportunity to go and clean that to earn back the
Your
full amount of the deposit.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect.
Maybe not the full amount because you waited a day.
Well, that is
You're not in
the.
charge, Ole. Jen is.
Well, I mean, that is an issue. For example, in Tremont Hall, you can't wait a day to clean it because the next morning at 8 a.m. there's an exercise class. So that is something that it is time conscious. If you didn't go and do it when you were supposed to do it, you don't get your deposit back.
But it's all spelled out in the application or
Yeah.
the agreement?
Mhm.
Okay.
So on
And
page.
do we, just real quick, and do we have the ability to issue certificates of insurance still?
No, we don't.
We don't. Is there a way we could, have we looked into, I mean, why did that go away?
So what,
We-
what
the
what
cit-
happened previously?
We used to be able to issue a certificate of insurance, it was like $37, and we would do it through, I don't remember what the agency was before, because some people, maybe on their homeowners or whatever, can't get it, and it was just kind of a convenience thing.
So
And-
the city would
Oh.
directly collect the fee instead of them going to directly to
okay.
the insurance company themselves. The
Okay.
city would collect the fee and
Or-
the city
yeah.
would purchase the insurance.
Parsac, our third-party insurance liability pool provider, isn't set up for something like that.
So
Okay.
currently what happens when somebody rents one of our properties is that we do require insurance and then we give them several insurance options
Okay.
to go from. Most of them, like Parsac's insurance, special event insurance, it's called Tulip, their program, as well as a couple of other online places, are just really easy online for people to pay right on their card. And if people
Okay.
don't have access to a computer, then we can assist them in the office to do that.
Okay.
But no, we
So
don't.
it's not an issue?
We don't collect the fee directly
Yeah,
anymore.
so it's a
though.
non-issue,
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, good,
Mhm.
excellent.
And the island company collects the fee for their venues, but they also forward it on to their insurance agent.
Right.
The insurance agent knows that the coverage has been extended as opposed to the city. If we were to do that, we're hanging Parsec on the line.
Right.
But we used to do, yeah, send it in.
Jen,
Okay.
did you put this together?
Just say no.
I don't know. I'm just curious if you were the one, if this has been ongoing for some time, or if you
This
developed the criteria
Last
of
year's.
groups 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and what they mean?
From last year, I didn't look at last.
Okay. That's really good.
If you don't like it, I did it. If you liked it,
Right.
No, I think it's great. I really appreciate how you've come up with the different groups. I mean, a resident nonprofit versus a non-resident nonprofit group coming into town, and I just thought that was right. I
Yeah.
thought that was very well put together.
Jen
So
spent
Jen did that,
enormous
right?
amount of time and then conferring with her. When they brought it to me last year, it was like, what? Go away.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, just real quick. So if I'm gonna throw a rave party at the Field of Dreams, but you might not know it's a rave party, it's just gonna be a lot of people,
Yeah.
Okay.
they're paying $279.
That's the one that's based upon the activity, right? So that's like the Donovan concert.
Right.
Right. So larger special event usage fees will vary, but if the Field of Dreams, is this this year's one?
I believe so. Yep.
Well, it depends on who you are.
Oh, no, if I'm a private individual and I wanna throw a party for 500 people, I'm anticipating,
A private individual, non-resident or a resident?
yes. It would be $279?
No. What page are you looking at?
I'm looking at page 19, trying to get the full day rental.
It looks like the group
Oh,
5
for
total
Joe Machado
shifted
Field or
to-
Field of Dreams?
Joe Machado.
Okay. Yeah, so the full day, right, is $279.
Okay, plus a deposit,
Mm-hmm.
plus lights if they go into the evening.
Right, so the lights
Okay.
are per hour separate as well as
Right,
the insurance cost.
Okay, that's all.
And we'll fix
Plus
that
a
header,
special
too.
event application fee if it requires a special event application.
Any other recreation?
No,
Questions?
Very good, thank you, Jen.
Okay, run while you can,
Thank
yeah.
you.
That saved her having to write stuff up, so that was good.
No, that's great.
So then we'll move to page 17. And this is what I was referring to earlier. It's a listing of positions and equipment. And really, I made a lot of notes, added notes in this year's fee schedule indicating people and equipment aren't for rent. This really is, as individuals, for instance, you can't rent a dump truck from the city. What this is if you have a lateral,
Maybe we should think about
a private lateral, a private lateral that needs to be fixed. And this has happened to Public Works. They've got equipment and people and time to go in and fix that for you. It's an emergency. This is what Dennis and staff will look at to establish that charge. And we are getting a new Vector truck. We don't yet know the total overhead, how we're going to charge that. Once we get it, we'll have that information.
The Vector truck and, I'm sorry, Gina, the Vector truck and the other
The
Yeah,
pumper.
the pump that we
Yes.
just.
Super sucker.
Yes. So we have that under other equipment, basically.
Okay. And I took this as, we want to put on an air show, and we have to have additional resources from the city. Would this be the right basis to come up with
Correct.
how much the city's.
Deputies and so
Yeah,
forth.
the
Yep,
extra
yep.
deputies, the fire rescue,
So I
having
think, yeah,
additional
It
services.
was like a $900-some-odd bill last year for the additional cost. that-
Okay.
That they were asked to bear.
And then will this actually be updated once the cost study is done, or are we
Yes.
pretty?
All of this
Okay.
will be updated.
So this whole page is possibly going to change after
Correct.
the cost study.
All
Okay.
17 pages might change.
Yes.
Great, Oli. We get to spend another 2 hours together.
Hardly wait.
Like with recreation, could you have rates that are for nonprofits versus commercial people?
Well, we have community groups for one, and we could look at that, and it would be a
I
matter
would
of.
caution.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, no, no,
Yes.
no, 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 no. Okay, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. You're good.
yeah.
Only because the
The cost is
of
the cost.
Right,
the cost is
exactly.
the cost.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
so
all
for
major
community
events.
groups, that's the actual cost, and for private groups,
But we also try to be conservative because oftentimes there are other staff that are involved with an effort and we don't charge for them.
Sure,
Sometimes,
sure.
Denise is involved or I'm involved or
yeah,
we don't charge for that.
yeah, okay.
I just want to note it that the not-for-profit groups, they have to show us their, they truly are.
Sure.
Not just that I am.
Yeah.
We've gone through the entire schedule, and I believe the to-do items are a future action on development impact fees for temporary vehicles. And, let's see, we're going to remove the tattoo fee and get a little more clarity on the passport fee. Identify
We're going to
the-
provide data on the false alarm
Yes,
numbers
yes, false alarm numbers, and a study
and
from.
also on, sorry, just because
Sure.
I'm still on page 4. Are you on page 4 still?
Yes,
Okay, weed abatement. Some clarification that this is for the letter that goes out and recovering the administrative costs reflective with that, and then just affirming that this is the private property owner's responsibility, but in the event that they don't, then we must have some mechanism to recoup that cost through a public works crew.
yes. And questions about the haul out and storage fee, specifically what that's about? And we'll get some details for you on that. And did we have any continued questions about the fishing tournament per boat charitable exemption? That we're good with that?
Right.
Okay. And outdoor restaurant review, that's still outstanding. Find that out.
Just real quick, where do we board animals? Just take them up to the warehouse?
No, it's a Pebbly Beach facility, right? That's the,
Boarding
I'm sorry, the boarding of animals.
Yeah.
Where do we do that?
If it's a dog, it goes to Dr. Denny. We have a section there.
Okay.
Oh,
And then
okay.
Code goes in and feeds them over the weekend and
Oh, okay.
Oh,
there's a
okay.
whole
And
process.
if it's
So
a
we could
cat?
probably add a feeding fee then, too.
Oh, what kind of fee?
A feeding fee, because the big dog eats more than the little dog.
Cleaned up fee.
And where do the cats go?
The haul out and storage fee.
We find a nice colony for them.
We do have a colony of cats out at, by the hazardous waste facility out
Well, that's the one I'm thinking
past
of.
the wastewater treatment plant. They go out and feed the cats out there in the morning. I don't know if they feed them at night too, but morning. We spend a lot of money on cat food.
The haul out and storage fee, I just got a question about that. Let's say, and we probably haven't had a scenario like this, but let's say it's a huge boat that can't be pulled up with the crane, and it's got to be pulled out at Pebbly Beach. I mean, can we add on to that fee the cost as well, like whatever our cost would be? Let's say we had to have Caleb's Marine Service take care of it.
Well, I think we might be able to recoup that through that miscellaneous section in the back.
Okay.
Other equipment.
Okay.
You know, there's a fee in there for the harbor patrol boat if that has to be involved.
Okay, yeah, that kind of thing.
I think that would catch.
Generally,
catch
if
up
the
there.
boatyard's hauling out a boat, they agree to do it and recover the cost directly from the
owner.
person from the owner that they're hauling the boat out for.
Okay, I didn't quite understand that,
Yeah.
but I wanted to make sure that we didn't have to assume the liability on something that was out of our kind of out of our reach, out of our.
We do have a follow-up item with Brian though to talk about the haul-out fees in general.
Yes.
One to discuss the potential for having auctions for bikes and boats that we impound. Did we get direction? I think we did, just to make sure. Adding $1 to the fees for the credit card charge rather than a separate charge. Was that
Believe we're gonna-
direction?
Not necessarily $1, we need to look at what the fee.
Okay.
3%.
Doing 3% and adding that.
Yeah, I think Brian was already, if I heard correctly, Brian is already looking at what the credit card fees are associated with the processing, and then whether we could build that, whether it wasn't this year or perhaps next year, we could build that into the fee, or were you asking for that to be built in this year?
We
Whatever-
actually
whatever
can do it
works.
this year.
It's easy for us, I think, to do it now.
I mean, it's easy to go back and say our credit card processing fees over a period of time have been, XYZ dollars, and, easily, how many moorings you've had over a given period of time, and sort of even that out and make that adjustment. For this year, right? Oli?
We can do
Yeah.
it for this year.
I'll have
It
him-
just cleans it up.
This is all a conversation that I've had with Brian, actually, so I know he's thinking about this.
I was going to say Brian would generally think that in that way, but I'm with Oli. I'm really against line after line after line, and we see that with some of our other harbor fees. You have a 4%, you have a 7%, but it's just
Inclusive.
The feeling of it is that you're just fee after fee after fee.
Got it. Okay. And then I'm on page 7, just in the review.
Did we miss page 6? I thought we had a question. I did
Just
not.
the outdoor restaurant review.
Right. I don't think we had an answer on that one, so we need to follow up on that.
And then the general plan amendment question from Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
How that works. And do you have your answer for the conditional use permit? I don't.
I have an answer for the conditional use permit. Thank you.
Down. And just a reminder that page 8 is that development agreement section. No question there, it's just a future item. And I think Brian helped us with all of our planning fees.
The only question we did not ask Brian was or maybe I missed it, was the parking occupant load calculation. That might be an Amanda question.
That is.
Yes.
They said it was a
Okay.
manic question.
But we did get the answer on the amusement park and the trailer coach inspection.
And the barriers for pools.
And the pools.
And then we're going to work with Brian to change the penalty, excuse me, on the investigation permit.
Building code section is going to be put in there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And, excuse me, there's no continuation on the horseshoe fee because that is not a fee for us.
Right.
Correct.
I didn't see anything in here about our trolley service. Is it the fee? Is there a fee there?
Well, that's under contract with Catalina Transportation
Okay.
Services, yeah.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
But you're right, I mean, it is, I understand the connection, it's a city-owned,
Yeah,
Vehicle,
but it
so it's a little
slipped my
confusing.
mind that the transportation
Yeah,
service
so-
is the one that
yep.
handles
Yep.
that. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And that covers the fee schedule. I'll make the adjustments in here and have that to you by Friday. And then we're going to move forward on a public noticing process with the newspapers and set up the public hearings for a final adoption for July 1st. We may have a public meeting prior to then, though, to cover the 2 required public meetings.
Next budget study session is set for,
Next Wednesday at 9 a.m.
okay, so 9 a.m., and that's when we're actually going to start going through the budget document itself.
Will that typically take longer than this?
Wednesday.
Yes.
It's just so we can plan our day.
Yeah, next
Next-
Wednesday from 9 to 11.
Next Wednesday is,
Yes.
which one?
So
That's
9 to 11 might
budget
not
study
be
session.
enough time.
The first one.
Or we're just saying 9 to 11.
9 to 11.
Well, the fee schedule is part of the budget. This is kind of just the first, this is an easy one, if you will, right? Because this is,
18th.
It's the 18th.
well, it's going to be easier than the budget. Yes, it will be. The budget's going to involve more policy decisions. These are more cost recovery type questions.
I'm looking for the other 3 sitting up here with me. In my opinion, I would prefer to have Brian, Mike, Jen here for their portions of the budget study.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay.
that's the plan.
Okay, so the 3 department heads, I think, and Amanda, 4 department heads, I think it would be more valuable for our time to have them jump up and help answer questions. Okay.
I didn't think we'd need them for the fees, but
I'm
Yeah, we-
sorry.
we-
I
We have a
apologize.
fairly new council, so
no.
We
it's
guessed
all
wrong on
new
fees.
to us. Next year, I'm
It worked
sure
out
it won't
perfectly.
be that
It's fine.
difficult, but
We've got great staff that's watching, obviously, online, so they, they're paying attention.
You asked some good questions, too. Yeah. It's educational for
I
all
just-
of us
I
and
do
our
wanna-
constituency, too, so that's great.
Thank you.
I'm glad you do that. Thank you.
So I think Cindy said she has something at 11, and
Yeah, me too.
so we really don't have time to work on the priorities today.
Seems like we're not getting to those.
It's not our priority.
It's not a priority.
My 11 o'clock meeting is with Ben and Denise, and I would be willing to not give my time to Oli, but give
Well, I
them
think
a little bit of time.
Joe, I know, has a
You
commitment.
have to go to the school
Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
for a meeting
Okay,
for
I'm
my
sorry.
son, yeah.
Okay.
Don't be,
Okay.
good. If I can be excused, that would be wonderful.
No, we will reschedule the priority session. We also want Councilmember Hernandez to be.
Yes.
present, too.
Right.
And so we are back on for June 25th for
Yes,
the
we are.
3rd.
Just to
Okay.
clarify, we were
At
going to
9 a.m.?
reschedule. Yes. And I wanted to ask your assistance, since time is a little tight, if I could meet with you individually prior to next Wednesday to go over the budget information I have for you. I don't think I'll be able to get it to you by Friday. My goal was to get you at least preliminary information to look at. So I'd like to see if there's a possibility to meet with you individually on Monday
Well,
or
that-
Tuesday.
yeah, Gina, let's take that offline because I want to make sure that you and I go through things before we do that.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
assuming we can get things satisfactorily addressed, then we can spend time individually with each council member.
Definitely.
If
That'd
it-
be the,
Okay, so if it's just educational and we're not making policy, we still can't meet,
Brown Act still applies.
just even for education? Okay, well, if you want to book me with one other council, just to reduce your time hopefully a little bit, do us some 2s and 1s or whatever.
I
mean,
guess
is that
just
okay?
that's fine. My only comment is I just want us to be prepared before we come to you. So I want to make sure I've gone through it with Gina thoroughly. and
Definitely.
then
Oh, right, no, whatever, but I
I
just
don't want
don't
something
want to,
half-baked coming to
instead
you.
of 5 hours, if we can make it, 2.5 hours or
Yeah.
something on her
I just
time.
didn't want you to look for something in the mail on Friday from me.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
Joe just realized he has a conflict on the 25th.
25th, I'm gonna be out of town. Sorry, Gina. I know you've been trying to schedule that, but there's nothing I can do.
Are you on the 24th or 26th?
24th, I'm open.
Well, since we have Councilmember
26,
Hernandez
I'm
to,
open.
we'll follow up with you guys offline. We'll give you some
Okay.
other options.
Okay,
And we'll follow up
perfect.
with Rich as well, of course, and see what works.
Perfect. Okay, is that it? Ladies and gents, do you have any other comments?
Oh, my God.
Meeting's
we're
adjourned.
On time.